Right, it's time for business. I hand you over to Emmanuel Abaji-Wiafi. I'd just like you to tell you about the statement I was reading earlier from the Trade and Industry Ministry about the Commander Sugar Factory shutdown. I indicated that the statement was going to be available on myjoyonline.com. It is already there, apparently, so you can go there and get to read the story, the full statement as put out by the Trade and Industry Ministry. Now, Emmanuel, good evening to you.
Good evening, Israel.
So there's all this back and forth about the story, and I mean, the story keeps on changing, and I'm hoping that we can get some clarity to it very, very soon. Because initially, it emerged that the factory had been shut down 2 days after the president commissioned it, and then later on, we got the Central Regional Minister coming in to say that no, the factory had not been, the factory indeed hadn't been shut down, but it was going to be shut down in 6 months' time.
Wow.
And then we also get word, we got to the factory, and we found out that the factory was working indeed, and the site engineer is telling us that there's no way the factory is going to be shut down. And yet, we have a ministry.
So, be telling somebody.
Well, at this point, I think we would want to go with the Ministry of Trade and Industry statement, which is just coming out saying that the factory will be shut down in June.
But not now. It's not closed.
Not now, but it will be shut down in June.
Anytime from today.
Well, later on.
So what difference then does it make then? I mean, if it's going to be shut down in June and you're telling us that it's shut down, it's not the same.
I don't know. All we want is
a shutdown.
All we want is a shutdown. All we want is
not
the sugar.
Anytime soon, is doing.
Well, they say in 2 days. So let's hope for the best, right?
At least to cut down on our $200 million annual import bill for sugar.
On sugar, yeah. All right. What's coming up in business?
Well, in business, ASEP is lending support to workers of ECG. ASEP is telling them that they must go all out to recover any outstanding debts, especially from government, because it doesn't make sense if government tells ECG to go for its money from the public, yet the government itself owes so much. You know, it's quite interesting. But the catchword is that, hey, don't issue threats.
But you heard what the president had to say about the downstream power distribution sector. I mean, I think it was a bit harsh. They said very inefficient. That's right. Okay, you take it over.
All right, so thank you very much. Now, the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, says he supports ECG workers going all out to recover their outstanding debts from government. He, however, cautioned against the issue of threats on the PURC. Speaking on the marketplace, the ASEP boss said management cannot accuse the public for non-payment of bills, whilst government itself is heavily indebted to the power distribution company.
Would like to put on record that the issues raised by the ECG workers are very genuine issues. I agree with them on almost all the issues, except the route that they are using to address their issues. The threat to PURC is unacceptable. They cannot give PURC an ultimatum. They cannot give a directive to its regulator. If we allow such threats to be, issued by organizations that are supposed to be regulated by our institutions, then our institutions will get weaker and weaker. They will never be able to execute their mandate. So I disagree with them. They have no right to give that directive. It is within the mandate of PURC, as established in the law that established the PURC, to regulate the utilities. I think that when we have institutions that have a mandate to perform, they should be able to execute their mandate without fear or favor. I do not see any reason why ECG will not disconnect a government, department for non-payment of its bills, and yet the same ECG will disconnect a private consumer for non-payment of bills. Whatever pressure they can put on government for government to pay its debts, they should do it, and we will support them. ASEP has supported the call for government to pay its debt, because that is one of the reasons why ECG is being run down. So there is no doubt that we have management problems with ECG, but the financial problem, I believe, can help to solve most of these problems, especially those that relate to procurement, those that relate to their liquidity, and those that relate to improving the conditions of so they can be able to deliver their services better.
And the Bank of Ghana is considering freezing the issuance of licenses for any institution that wants to operate as commercial bank. The move is part of measures the regulator is looking. The move is part of measures the regulator is looking to check the influx of banks in the country. Now, but how would this affect several applications currently before the Bank of Ghana for approval?
Joy Business understands that the Bank of Ghana is currently working to engage several stakeholders on this proposal. Sources say the regulator wants the decision to be based on a broad consultation with all those who matter in the financial sector. The central bank is also looking at the option of also increasing the minimum capital for existing and new banks. Currently, existing banks require about 60 million Ghana cedis to operate, whilst new entrants may have to pay 100 million Ghana cedis. The Bank of Ghana believes that increasing the minimum capital could also help check the number of banks in operation. Joy Business has learned that the that despite the increasing number of banks in the country, there are still certain critical sectors that have not been given the necessary attention. The Bank of Ghana is also worried that it always has to give waivers to some banks to allow them finance certain critical projects because of the single obligo rules. It, however, believes that increasing the capital again could help check this. Some top directors at the Bank of Ghana that Joy Business have spoken to are also of the view that the capital increase should be based on risk and the exposure of a particular bank, so that there will still be some small financial institutions operating in the country with just focusing on some small areas. Some analysts are of the view that if the Bank of Ghana goes ahead with this plan of raising the minimum capital again to about 300 million Ghana cedis, that could result in a substantial reduction in about 30 commercial banks currently operating in the country. However, there are some more of the view that looking at the performance of some new entrants like Royal Bank in terms of profits, this shows that there's room for some of these banks to make some good returns operation. But a source close to the Bank of Ghana has told Joy Business that even if the plan is implemented today, it will not affect applications currently before the regulator.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Venture Capital Trust Fund, Usman Suleiman, is blaming the National Investment Bank, the GCB, SIC, and Agric Development Bank for the poor performance of their investments, a condition he says is negatively affecting the ability of the fund to support more SMEs in the country. He revealed investments worth over $12 million owned by these partners have been neglected for 9 years. In an interaction with Joy Business, Usman Suleiman said all attempts at getting these parties to meet on the wasting investment have proven futile.
Talking about the operational challenges of the funds, like I mentioned that we have 5 funds. We have the Activity Venture Capital Finance Company, and that one we went into partnership with Ghana Commercial Bank, Venture Capital, and SIC. So, no, ADB, committed capital, fund size of about $10 million. Venture owned 40% of that. We made a commitment of 40%. Ghana Commercial Bank also made a commitment of 40%, ADB 20%. Now, at this time of signing, we've all paid up 50% of our committed capital. So that means that our venture capital had invested $2 million. The Ghana Commercial Bank made an investment of $2 million, and ADB also did $1 million. So we started with $5 million. Historically, I don't know what happened from the past 3 years. The host shareholders have not been so much interested. And that is the same case with, Bedrock, where we did that investment with NIB, 40%, Venture 40%, and SIC 20%. So we did the same thing, the commitment of 50% at the time of signing, we signed in, and that means we made $2 million, NIB $2 million, and SIC also did $1 million. So at the moment, these 2 funds do not even have fund managers.
To the stock market, and John is standing by to tell us more. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
Has the oil overtaken something like gold or something?
Oil is actually doing very well. Now, do you know it's actually hit the $51 mark.
Already?
Exactly. Oil is now, trading over $51 per barrel. That's exactly the information actually coming when we are picking before I even got to CDO here. And also the demand pressure following oil also indicates that the tendency or the likelihood that oil can actually rise. Even by Friday, we may see 53 is very high. Okay. But before that, let's do the numbers from Ghana, where the Ghana Stock Exchange, I say marginally, so the decline as compared to the Monday beginning opening numbers. Monday opening with 64,233 as against 55,140. So we just saw some marginal decline in terms of volumes traded on the Ghana Stock Exchange, as total value recorded about 27,185. Quite marginal, that's against 12,000. So that's exactly how this. The difference is just about the value of the equity, the movement basically. Yeah. If a higher cap equity actually is involved, then you see the values being higher than the volumes, and the vice versa. That's exactly how it works. So the market capitalization now, as you can tell, dropped from 54 billion. Now it's actually around 53 billion 998. So gradually we are seeing the market losing value over that long period of time. There's no end in sight. That's exactly what it is. A lot of the African markets are actually recovering from those downside, but the Ghana Stock Exchange finding it very difficult to do that particular exercise. Now, almost about six equities moved the market today, but we are reporting on only 4, but these are the significant ones, where EcoBank Ghana returned 3 pesos to their shareholders, as Aluex also returned 1 Ghana, and all of these are trading or will be opening tomorrow. 6 Ghana, 33, and then 10 pesos respectively. That's EcoBank Ghana and Aluex. As ETI lost 1 peso, HFC lost 1 peso. So ETI will be trading tomorrow at 18 pesos per share, whilst HFC Bank would also be trading tomorrow at 83 pesos per share. That's exactly how the market saw a lot of activity today, but in terms of liquidity, affect the market so much. So that's how you see the volume not really doing well. Now let's go to the international market to look at how crude oil is actually doing, and then gold and cocoa. As I did indicate earlier, crude is doing $51.48 per barrel after gaining 83 cents today, as it's still trading. You know, the market is almost about 4 or 5 hours to go. So exactly so we're expecting to see a lot more capacity actually being built there from the crude oil grounds, as we have a lot of demand being built up. Now gold, for about 3-4 days now, has been losing. Today it lost almost about $1.08 and currently trading around $1,243.88 per ounce. As cocoa is trading, after gaining, it's trading around 3,082 after gaining $29 exactly. So that's how it is. Cocoa has also been gaining. Quite good news for Ghana though. But then now let's look at how the currency, the Ghana cedi, is actually doing against the major 5 trading currencies here in Ghana. With the US dollar, the cedi lost some value against it, but gained against the British pound. The cedi lost some marginal value against the euro, against the Chinese one, but obviously CFA franc. So for tomorrow, if you need $1, all you need is about 3 Ghana cedi 85. For 1 British pound, 5 Ghana cedi 57, and then for 4 Ghana cedis 37 will get you €1. For a Chinese yuan, it's about 58, and of course 150 CFA franc will get you 1 Ghana. So that's how the market is. But these are the interbank market rates. Forex bureau rates are totally different, but they are not as much different. But we found some about 30-35 percentage point differences in there. So that's exactly how the market is. Emmanuel.
All right, thank you very much. That's a very concise presentation of the markets. And for viewers who would like some more analysis on the stock market, make a date on the marketplace tomorrow at 1 for details of the market in Ghana and elsewhere in Africa and the world. And that wraps up the business segment for tonight. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji Riafi. More news coming up. Don't go away.